Welcome to the viewers of Stories Viz.
San Francisco had an island in the middle of the ocean that housed the most dangerous prison in the world. This prison housed America's most dangerous criminals. There was only water all around, and the nearest land was 2 kilometers away, but the water temperature here was 10 to 14 degrees Celsius, which made it very difficult to go into the water. Even if they went into the water, the waves were so strong that they could pull even the best swimmers into the water. A high barbed fence had been erected all around the island. There was a guard tower on every corner, and searchlights were on 24 hours a day. The prison people had also spread the word that there were bloodthirsty sharks in the sea, which was enough to scare the prisoners. No prisoner has escaped from this prison to this day, but 4 prisoners decided to escape from this prison. His first name was Frank Morris, who was born in Washington, D.C. in 1926. He had no parents and grew up in an orphanage. No one was his own. But he had the most brains. When his IQ level was checked in prison, it was 133, which was considered genius. His first theft at the age of 13 was a prison break. He had escaped from many prisons. That's why the police got fed up with him and sent him to Alcatraz, so he couldn't escape anymore. The second was named George Anglin, and the third was named Clarence Anglin. These 2 were brothers and lived with 14 siblings. Due to poverty, he was forced to work in the fields as a child. The 2 brothers would swim in Lake Michigan whenever they went to work in the fields. The water there was very cold. That's why they were used to swimming in cold water. In 1958, the 2 brothers robbed a bank and were caught. Both brothers served time in several prisons and tried to escape, but were unsuccessful, after which they were sent to Alcatraz. There, the 2 brothers met Frank Morris. The cells of all 3 were in the same line, which made it easy to plan. Next to these 3 cells was a 4th cell, which contained a man named Alan West, who was already in prison. He worked as a maintenance worker in the prison, which is why he knew every nook and cranny of the prison. One day, Alan called the 3 of them and showed them that each cell had a small hole for ventilation, covered with a mesh, which opened into the utility corridor. No guard came or went here. The 4 of them started working on it together in December 1961. The biggest problem was how to dig. Frank figured out that they could dig with spoons in prison if they were sharpened, after which they started collecting spoons and sharpening them by rubbing them on the floor, and started digging in their cells. But digging with a spoon was taking a long time. So they took the motor out of an old vacuum cleaner lying in the prison and made it into a drill machine, after which the work started to speed up. Now the biggest problem was that if we run the drill, there would be a sound and the guards would hear it. But that too was solved. There was a music hour in the prison in the evening, and all the prisoners would play their instruments, so there was a lot of noise in the prison during that time. So the plan was made that when music hour was playing in the prison, Alan West would play music loudly, and the other 3 prisoners would drill holes in the walls of their cells so that the sound of the drill would drown out the music. In the same way, for a full 6 months, these people kept digging little by little until a path was made for a man to go through. After digging, they would put cement on the net so that the guard wouldn't be suspicious. Now, the most important task was to make a dummy head, because at night, the guards would check every now and then to see if the prisoner was sleeping or not. If the bed was empty, the guards would sound the alarm. Therefore, they needed replica heads that looked real. Frank created a program to make replica heads from toilet paper, soap, and cement. But the head will look fake without hair. A solution has also been found for this. When prisoners' hair was cut in prison, they collected it for months and glued it onto the fake head. In the end, the fake head looked so real that no one could recognize it. Now the biggest question was how to swim through the cold water. Frank then put his brains to work and said that the rain jackets he used to mix in prison could be combined to make a boat. So they started collecting jackets, sewing them together, and filling them with air. And finally, after months of hard work, a small boat was built. The boat could comfortably carry the weight of 3 to 4 men, after which they gathered wood and made poles to steer the boat. Now it was just a matter of waiting for the right night. On Monday, June 11th, 1962, before the lights went out, the guards saw that all the prisoners were in their cells. Everything was fine, and they left. As soon as the guards left, the 4 of them raised their bare heads and placed them on pillows, placing blankets over them in such a way that from a distance, it looked as if someone was sleeping peacefully. Now Frank removed the mesh from the hole in his cell and crawled into the hole he had dug for 6 months, reaching the back corridor. Soon George and Clarence also entered the corridor. Now all that was waiting was Alan. But Alan was unlucky. The cement he had applied to the bars in his cell had hardened, preventing him from getting out. The 3 waited for a while and then left because the danger was great. Any guard could come. There was a pipe and cable in the corridor that went up to the ceiling. The 3 of them grabbed the pipe and cable and climbed 30 feet up to the ceiling. As soon as I climbed onto the roof, the sea began to appear in front of me. The searchlights were spinning, but they had already seen the blind spots. They quickly grabbed the drain pipe and descended to the ground. Now they had to cross the barbed wire. As soon as they climbed the barbed wire, blood started flowing from their hands, but they didn't stop. Finally, they reached the northeast shore of the island. It was dark here, and the light from the tower couldn't reach them. They took out their boat and started filling it with air. When the boat was completely ready, they lowered it into the water and sat down and started steering the boat with the poles. It was a dark night. The water was cold. The waves were strong. And the faint reflection of Angel Island, 2 kilometers away, was visible in front. That's where they had to go. As they moved forward, Alcatraz faded, and the 3 of them disappeared into the darkness. Meanwhile, inside the prison, Alan finally broke through his cage and went into the corridor. He climbed onto the roof, but no one was there. Alan looked out to sea, but there was no one there. He realized that it was too late now. He quietly went to his cell and lay down. The next morning at 7 a.m., when the 3 prisoners did not wake up, the guard went to pick them up and found that the 3 prisoners were not in their cells. An alarm went off throughout the prison. They were searched in every corner of the prison, but the 3 were nowhere to be found. When Alan West was questioned by the police, he told everything. The FBI called the Coast Guard, the Navy, and a helicopter was brought in. They all started searching for them. They also searched the surrounding areas, but the 3 were nowhere to be found. Some items were found on the island of Angel Island, far from the island, such as a boat handle floating in the water, a plastic-wrapped wallet belonging to the Anglin brothers, which contained family photos of them, and a life jacket. But neither the 3 of them nor their dead bodies were found. The operation lasted for 10 days, but no concrete evidence was found. The FBI investigated the case for 18 years, but in 1980 they closed the case, saying that the water was too cold and the waves were too strong, which caused them to drown, because it was very difficult to survive in this water. But there was some evidence that proved the FBI's claim wrong, like some footprints found near Angel Island that looked like someone came out of the water. The Anglin brothers' family said that for years after this case, Christmas cards continued to arrive at their home without any names, but the handwriting was exactly like Clarence and George's. His mother kept receiving flowers on Mother's Day. When their mother died, 2 tall women came, stood silently by the body, cried, and then went back. Their family was sure they were George and Clarence, who had come in disguise to see their mother for the last time. In 1975, a photo surfaced that was taken in Brazil showing two men standing who looked exactly like the Anglin brothers. The expert did the test and said it could be them. The FBI also received a letter in 2013 that said, "My name is John Anglin. I escaped from Alcatraz in 1962. I am 83 years old and have cancer." The FBI also investigated them, but found nothing. The FBI has closed this case, but the U.S. Marshals still have this case open today. They release age-progressed photos every year showing how the three of them would look today. If they were alive, they would be arrested. No one knows whether they are alive or not. After this case, Alcatraz was closed, saying that the sea winds had weakened the prison walls and that maintenance costs were high. Today, Alcatraz is a museum that millions of people visit every year. People can only see the cells where the three prisoners lived. The hollowed-out spoons and heads are still there today.